Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn at pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Excuse me. Hello, how you doing? Good morning at you. Good afternoon, whatever the heck it might be when you're listening to this. If you're out walking, take me with you. I do. I need the exercise. Dang it. I wish I could get sort of, what would that be? God, never mind. Okay. Sorry. I'm just a little I want to take something up that I failed to do yesterday. And it used to be this program did traffic in local and state news on occasion. But then the national news just sort of overtook it. And also I found often the local and and state news, I don't know, extraordinarily maddening. But then the same can be said of the other. So I must admit, I don't follow it as closely as one might think. I've gone federal, international. And also that's a result of, I think, the fact that the audience is not necessarily in Pittsburgh. So I figure those of you who don't live here, what the hell do you care? But there's this one story that really... I did a double take, and I didn't get to it yesterday, and I do want to bring it up. If you live somewhere else, it doesn't matter. We don't know if we can take a call. No calls. Okay. All right. Our phone isn't working. Is it me? No matter where I go, equipment doesn't work. Susan, my sister, thinks it's her because since we've moved here, I don't think she's been on the show more than once. I mean, there's been a technique we can't get. So she thinks it's something about her. I think it's something about me, but that's all magical thinking. Can I have my audio up a little bit? I can't hear myself think. I want to thank Michael for sending me this lovely article headlined Australian Scientists Discover 50 New Spiders in 10 Days. What does that tell you? There's a gazillion spiders that have never been discovered out there. Good God. This article comes complete with pictures that I can't get out of my head, and I probably will be dreaming about this evening. So, Michael, cut it out! I know I'm the one who brought spiders up initially, but, So, back to the story that made me do the double take. If you had asked me, who's the lieutenant governor of Pennsylvania, I would not have a clue. And in that regard, I would be in the vast majority. Most people can't even name the governor. I know, I can do that, but I don't have a clue who the lieutenant governor is. Except he found himself in the news. In a manner in which he just as soon not have found himself in the news. The lieutenant governor is sort of like, the vice president. The job is really just about like being Prince Charles. It's waiting around for somebody to be impeached or die. And there's very little to do. And our lieutenant governor here in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is a guy, I find out, named Mike Stack. Mike Stack. He's from Philadelphia. He got himself in the news because the governor who is, just he's one breath away from that position, both Democrats. The governor sicked the state inspector general on his own lieutenant governor. Something tells me the relationship might be a little frayed. At any rate, the state inspector general is investigating a number of complaints that our lieutenant governor and his lovely wife, what the hell's her name? His lovely wife, Mrs. Stack, berate the officers that are there to provide them protection, like somebody wants to assassinate the lieutenant governor of Pennsylvania. Like anybody even knows who the friggin' lieutenant governor of Pennsylvania is to get mad enough at him to want to kill him, right? The fact that he even has a security detail is absurd. I should have a security detail before he does. Anyway, it turns out when the Stacks got him elected, they end up living in the lieutenant governor's house in Harrisburg. And again, I ask you, why does the lieutenant... You mean we pay for a lieutenant governor to have a house? Why don't we just pay for every member of the legislature, every member of the cabinet to have a house? Have you ever had a job where they gave you a house with it? I'm just asking. I'm just inquiring. And this is not any house. This is a 2,500-foot fieldstone house in the historic, fort of something. They don't even say it here. On the grounds of the historic fort. What fort? Fort Indian Gap, something, I think. Anyway, so the lieutenant governor, upon election, gets to move in to this fort with a heated swimming pool, a 5-car garage, a staff of 6 state employees. We are such nice employers, us taxpayers, aren't we? Did we ever sign off on the lieutenant governor having a 5-car garage, a house, a staff, a staff of 6 state employees who manage the property and cook? The lieutenant governor collects a salary of $162,000 plus, a pension for life that will allow him to live in splendor, the greatest health insurance that taxpayers can buy, even as they struggle to insure themselves. And also, they have a state trooper detail to escort him and his lovely wife. Well, it turns out word has been circulating that the Stacks, that would be our lieutenant governor and his lovely wife, Tanya. I just found her name. Tanya, who showed up at the inauguration, by the way, in a huge, garish mink coat. So the Stacks are now living with this staff of 6 and their security detail and their heated pool and their 5-car garage. And they're pissed off. Who wouldn't be? Apparently, word has gotten to the governor that the Stacks berate, yell at, scream at their staff. And the staff's about had it. His wife has verbally abused members of the state police security detail and the household staff. Apparently, she didn't like the vichyssoise that the cook had made for her that day. Are you wondering, like me? Okay, so wait a minute. We're paying this guy $162 plus all these unbelievable perks, including a house, security, a cook, manicured grounds, a swimming pool, the 5-car garage, this and that, and they're pissed off and find their life really wanting in many ways, so much so that they're screaming at the help. And what does the lieutenant governor do? What's the heavy-duty job he's getting paid $162,000 plus for? Do you know what the lieutenant governor does? Other than sitting around waiting for the governor to die? Pretty much like the vice president, he's supposed to oversee the state senate. Let us be clear. That is a do-nothing job. There is nothing for him to do. He also, I guess, oversees the state parole board or something. They threw in something to make it look like he had something to do. That's the Board of Pardons and presiding over the state senate. Those are the two, I guess. And for this, he gets $162,000. I'm thinking of, I should run. That sounds like a great way to spend a retirement, doesn't it? Get a job as the lieutenant governor. Yeah. So anyway, they're looking into this because I guess the people who work for him can't take it much longer. And another sense of where our wonderful lieutenant governor is coming from. Last year, he requested that the state police, who in fact do chauffeur him around, drive with their lights flashing and sirens blaring to clear traffic. He didn't get it. That was something he sort of wanted to stick into the state budget. That whenever dignitaries like His Honor, the Lieutenant Governor, was being, I don't know, driven to his chiropractor, the sirens would blare and the lights would flash and people would scatter like chickens out of his path. Currently, and the law allows only such things to happen in emergencies. So the governor himself said to the folks who were putting the budget together, get that stupid thing that Stack wants in there out. Okay. So I think the Stack's sort of been on the governor's you-know-what list for some time. And then Tanya made a few headlines in Philly, their hometown, a few years back, when she dumped a can of soda on a state representative at a charity event. That was after she gave him the finger. She gave him the finger, and then she dumped a can of soda. These sound like wonderful people. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to vent a little bit. Didn't get around to it yesterday. After reading this story, that the lieutenant governor and his wife are being investigated for accusations of abusing their staff. Their staff! And we're not talking about the staff, the office staff. We're talking about the staff, the chauffeur, the cook, the pool boy, the sous chef. I don't know. The maid. Ugh, God. It is no wonder that the people are enraged, that they're having a hissy fit. The only problem is that then they get nuts and vote people like Trump in. But this makes clear that these kind of SOBs who suck off the bottomless trough of goodies that we, the poor people, provide, although no one ever asks us. This is what it drives me crazy that people can't get through their heads that these people you elect then go to Harrisburg and they write themselves all of these perks and goodies. And because we don't pay attention to it, we don't know to throw them out on their tail the next election so that they'll get the message, so that people will start to get the message that we're paying attention and we don't want to be ripped off. You get us some health insurance first, then we'll think about giving you health insurance. You give me a cook first, and then I'll think about giving you a cook. What do Tanya and Mike have to do to fill their time? He doesn't really preside over the Senate. He's not there. He'd only be there if there's a vote, a tie to break. Ceremonial. God. But it won't change because people don't pay attention. That's just the truth. People don't pay attention. None of us do. And then we find out what's happening and we get outraged. Well, fine. Here's another favorite story of mine from yesterday that I forgot to talk to you about. Yeah, we're getting leftovers today. I got a few new things, but leftovers. Did you hear about? You had to. I bet you guys are ahead of me on this one now. There were two people in Florida who were eating some dinner. They made it themselves. They are not lieutenant governors, don't have cooks. And they had a salad. And they bought one of those prepackaged salads, already washed, already ripped apart. No problem. Just... And they were eating that, and that's when they saw it. Celine, do you know what it was? You do. It was a decomposing, I guess would be the term. Bat. A decomposing bat in their Fresh Express salad bag. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. That would put you off your feed for a while, wouldn't it? Anyway, they now are doing anti-rabies stuff. What it used to say in the news, having been in the news business, is you would always say when some poor soul got bit by a bat or a raccoon or something, and now it will have to undergo a series of, you can find it right, a series of painful rabies shots. I always wondered, geez, God, even scarier than rabies seemed to be what happens to you having to get these painful rabies shots. And I got news for you. They're not, anymore. Maybe they used to be. I don't know what I don't know where that phrase came from, that somehow that was almost as bad as dying of rabies. Anyway, they say that it's probably not the case that they're going to get rabies, but you never can be too sure, so they are doing anti-rabies treatment. The bigger question, of course, is how in the name of God does a bat bat get into one of those bags of salad, of lettuce? It was a 5-ounce. It was a 5-ounce, one of those little bags of organic. Celine, exactly the kind you would go for. Organic costs a little more, but you get more. You get decomposing bats. Little protein with it. The organic market-side spring mix made by Fresh Express. Fresh Express said it was notified that I love corporate speak. God, like de-accommodation, which we know, reaccommodation, the famous United Airlines, what they were doing with the guy they were dragging up, they were reaccommodating him. Well, here, the Bat Salad Corporation says this. We were notified that extraneous animal matter was allegedly found in a single container. So just so you know, the bunch of salads were recalled that were out of the same batch, and they all were being sold out of Walmart stores in the Southeast. So, phew, we dodged that bullet. But back to the question, how in the name of God does a bat get into a 5-ounce clear thing of salad? Eh? Well, let's go to the editor-in-chief of Food Safety News, Dan Flynn. He says, other vermin, usually mice, do show up in bagged salads once or twice a year. So the odds of you getting a mouse in your salad, not real high. A bat, that's a very rare occurrence. Here's what's creepy, though. The guy from Food Safety News says that, generally speaking, if a mouse ends up in a bag of salad, salad prepared, it has been placed there deliberately. By some disgruntled employee, no doubt. Yeah, rare but possible for a bat to get into a finished product. A bat or a bird, I mean, you could think of the story of how this could have a bat or a bird gets into a plant through a vent or something, you know. You never know. A hole, an open door, whatever. Then it makes its way to the production area. And while nobody's looking, it dives headfirst into a bag of salad. And then the bag gets sealed up and off it goes to Walmart somewhere. And you get to eat it. So, oh, by the way, a detail here. The bat was a Mexican. The bat was a Mexican. I am surprised that Jeff Sessions isn't all over this. I am surprised the Department of Homeland Security is not all over this. It's a Mexican bat. So this illegal bat, the Mexican free-tailed bat, was sent to the Center for Disease Control to see if it was in good shape. I mean, rabies or not, but it was too badly composed to definitely determine, which is why those poor people who bought that bag are undergoing now not painful series of anti-rabies vaccine. I'd give you the phone number, but there's no point to it. We have, by the way, asked the engineers here to correct the problem. They're not responding to our pleas for help. This is starting to look like it might be a bad marriage. Oh, sure, we got dazzled by their neat HD camera. Or is that ours? That's our camera. Oh, we could take this anywhere. I'm just saying, it's starting to look like we might be moving again. I don't know. Okay, so where are we going here? None of you can call and get me onto something or off track. You could email, you know. Oh, here are some. Susan writes, and we, the people, voted for him. We put him in office. I probably voted for him. Voted straight Democrat. I voted for the SOB and his disgusting wife, Tanya. Yeah, we the people. We did it. Scott writes, on yesterday's show, there was some discussion about Jews. There was? I guess there was. I thought of a joke. Oh, no. I thought of a joke that Richard Kind, who is a comic actor. Oh, yeah, he's the brother in A Simple Man, one of the Coen brothers films. I thought of a joke that he said in a recent interview. He said that the definition of anti-Semitism is hating Jews more than absolutely necessary. Only a Jew would say that. That is true. That is a so obviously the guy who said that is Jewish. That's funny. Yeah, the problem is, though, that kind of humor is lost on some people who take it, seriously. Jesus. Oh, man. I also didn't yesterday get to to say a fond farewell to the now former governor of Alabama, who put up a hell of a fight for an old guy. He did. I mean, they had this guy dead to rights. They were trying to push him out of office, impeach him for all kinds of terrible acts, including mostly just having an affair with with a campaign aide. But, of course, affairs lead to other things, lead to perjury, lead to other corrupting influences. I don't know what finally got the jerk out, but what an idiot. And, oh, by the way, this guy, extraordinarily, overtly, to the point of, I don't think he was capable of talking for more than 2 minutes without invoking Jesus' name. So he was, oh man, this guy was a Bible thumper, unbelievable. Problem is, his staff couldn't help but notice that right after he became governor, he started calling one of his aides, Rebecca, started calling her baby during staff meetings. And hey, baby, you got anything to add to that? Baby didn't seem to mind. Other things went on and on and on. Little tidbits of texts that the governor wrote to baby. One of which said, "Bless our hearts and other parts." Oh, and he made a bit of a mistake on one occasion. His wife's name, now his ex-wife, by the way, is named Diane, and he sent her mistakenly a text saying, "I love you, Rebecca." That's baby. So she filed for divorce. 50 years he's married to this woman. She says, "I am so out of here." Anyway, he finally agreed to quit. He pleaded guilty to 2 misdemeanors, and he promised never to run for office again. Well, Alabama, what a great state that must be. Alabama, that's the state that has that nutcase. Or I think he just got knocked out. The head of their Supreme Court, their Chief Justice. What's his name? I want to say Moore, but I'm not sure. He was the one who has fought every effort. He told when gay marriage passed, on the federal level, he told all the clerks in Alabama, don't you dare. We ain't doing it. We're God-fearing Christians. He's the one who went to the mat to have the 10 Commandments in his courtroom. And then he got, he was like booted out of office a few times for just flagrant constitutional abuses. And then, of course, the great people of Alabama elect him to be the Chief Justice of their Supreme Court. And he's out on his tail again for some reason. I think he's being disbarred. I don't know. Unbelievable. You can't keep up with him. You can't keep up. Alabama, you're something. Anyone listen to that new the serial thing, S-Town? Because that's set in Alabama too. Oh my God. I listened to it on my way to and from Michigan in the last few days. I'm not as wowed by it as a lot of people are, but it sure is a wow slice of life. Sure is a slice of life. Unbelievable. People's lives, ladies and gentlemen. Incredible. So I'm not even going to bother to talk today about how Donald Trump, everything he said during the campaign, he has pretty much reversed. 180. Done. Total 180s on. Because he has no real political principles. He has very little knowledge of foreign affairs. And we'd heard before that he usually takes on the point of view of the last person who he's talked to. But that's sort of troublesome because after he got done talking to like the Chinese president, he was practically speaking Chinese. So he is, boy, is he playable by anybody who's savvy. He is so playable. So a lot of stuff he was again, he's now for. A lot of stuff he said on day one, I'll do. He's now, and you know what? If I read another article about all the people who voted for him still just loving him to death, I'm gonna scream. So they didn't vote for him they don't care that he's not going to build the wall. They don't care that Mexico's not going to pay for it. They don't care that he didn't undo Obamacare. They don't care about all of this stuff that he's turned upside down. They don't care that his cabinet is essentially a subsidiary of Goldman Sachs. They don't care about any of this stuff because they voted for him because they saw him sort of as a walking finger to give to what they see as the establishment, and the establishment is represented by Hillary Clinton. So they love the fact that he is a bull in a china shop, and the fact that as president he's a bull in a china shop, and he's screwing them left and right. It does not matter. Fascinating what we can learn about human psychology by living through these times, assuming we will live through these times. So the Wall Street Journal has a piece. You know how much I love obits. They have a piece on their front page today about how obituaries are increasingly getting more real. In other words, they're numbing, most of them, in their so-and-so, passed, left this life surrounded by loving family, peacefully passed. And I'm thinking, yeah, right, sure, mm-hmm. I mean, it's and every person on the obit page is wonderful. Every person, my God, they loved family, they loved friends, they lit up rooms every time they walked in. I mean, so it's just, and that's what happens. Well, you're not supposed to speak ill of the dead. But increasingly, we are seeing more honest portrayals, since nobody is not without little idiosyncrasies and quirks that, if an honest evaluation is made after one's departure, would make, in fact, obituaries a much more compelling read. And it's starting to happen. Not out of meanness. Not out of, all right, he's dead, let's tell the world about him, although we've seen some of those. But he's dead, and I want people to know the guy I knew and loved, which means a human being. And actually, some of the things they put in here are pretty mild as examples. But I'm glad to see it, and it's a good indication. As more and more people write their own obits, and certain families have maybe someone in them who's capable of writing and painting a portrait of a loved one in words, warts and all, a person that, they love. It can make for wonderful obits, none of which the Wall Street Journal seem to have found. But they have at least found ones where people are starting to avoid the usual cliches. So here is the first line of an obit for Wayne Brocky, who was a plant manager in Klamath Falls, Oregon. His grandson wrote it. And the first line of his obit is, QVC lost a loyal customer on September 28th, 2016. And all the grandson then wanted to say is that his grandfather'd sit and watch QVC and order one idiotic gadget after another, which he remembered fondly. Now, that's a cute way of beginning. And he also noted that in retirement, many would describe Wayne as an old grump. And others saying he was a well-known tightwad, he was a this and a that. And, you read that about somebody and you laugh because that's real. That's human. And it could be that this is also a result of social media and what it's done to us, in that we share much more stuff about ourselves and don't see it as somehow, something you wouldn't want other people to know. Maybe within the family we can talk about. But no, now we're thinking, who cares? Here we are. They do have one from a woman who did the obituary. This is something you never want to do for her son, who died of a drug overdose. And we're seeing a lot of those, as you know, and I've talked about, where people are being honest about that, which is, I think, good. And her son was named Noah, and he lived in Latrobe, PA. And his mom said this of him, in part. He loved the Pittsburgh Penguins, playing video games, our dog Lizzie, and chicken. He hated lifting weights, but did it anyway, then had a cigarette. Those are better obits. Because a person gets fleshed out. Instead of these ridiculous statues of people like and as if and was a member of this, that, and the other thing and worked, and where you get with a lot of guys, white guys, you get this whole employment history. And is that who you are? Not really. A good obit is not an easy thing to do. I think I'd be a good obit writer. Maybe that's what I should do. Seriously. Okay, speaking of obits, there were a lot of them today. One, though, really caught my eye because this is a guy I met in 1970. Yeah. But he got an obit in the New York Times. He's a little bit older than me. Jay Giles. You know that name? Jay Giles. He had a band. The Jay Giles Band. Although when I knew him in passing, it was the Jay Giles Blues Band. And says here he died in Groton, Massachusetts at his home, natural causes. But this puts me, I got a story. I see Jay Giles and wowee, I go back. I'm living in New York City. I'm going to acting school. I'm a piece of work. And a friend who had been a friend when I went to Northwestern University calls me and says, I want you to come to this Halloween party that we're having, me and the people who live in this house with me. It's going to be incredible. I know you'll love it. You got to have a great costume, but you got to come. And I guess I was doing nothing, so I agreed to go. Turns out my friend Martha was living in a huge mansion. I mean, it was this unbelievable estate. It would make, by the way, the lieutenant governor's place in Harrisburg look like look like a starter home. Turns out she's living in, I think it was Brookline, Massachusetts, and the palatial estate she's living in with a bunch of other hippie types was the family home of, used to be, the family home of a family called the Lodges. The Lodges. The Lodges in Massachusetts are a rather big family. Henry Cabot Lodge, it's a name that might ring a bell. He was a U.S. Senator, then his son was a U.S. Senator. The one that I remember is the son, Henry Cabot Lodge, who ran as Richard Nixon's vice presidential candidate in 1960 when he ran against JFK. It was Nixon Lodge. And Lodge had also been a U.S. Senator from Massachusetts, a congressman from Massachusetts, ambassador to Vietnam during the war. This was the home that he grew up in. And it had long been, I guess, abandoned by the Lodge family and was owned by some big developer or real estate, I don't know what. And they were sitting on it waiting for plans to rip the whole damn thing down. And, of course, put up a whole bunch of mini mansions all over the place on this property. The property was amazing. I mean, it was ridiculous. I didn't even see half of it, I'm sure. I was pretty excited about going. And I found out that for a costume, you can go to places on Broadway, near Broadway, that keep all the costumes from all of the plays that have ever been done. They're there to rent. So I went to one of them, and man, I found me an Elizabethan era queen costume that was out of this world. I have no idea what show it had been in, but I was able to rent that for not much money back in the day. They packed it up for me, and off I went on the train to this Halloween party. I'm thinking 1970. When I got to that house, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I thought, Martha, man, you weren't kidding. This is something. Turns out some of the people who lived there were Jay Giles. So that's how I met him. He lived with, I think, other members of the band at the time. I'm not sure about that. In Henry Cabot Lodge's old mansion. I'm given a bedroom, that was, I think, bigger than my house. It was unbelievable. My bedroom was like a football field. And it had a fireplace, and it had this old-fashioned, wondrous bathroom attached, and that was mine. I wasn't even living there. The people who were living there had taken the better bedrooms. There were staircases up and down all over the place. I got lost in that house more than once in the weekend. When the party started, I could hear it downstairs, but I was getting myself into my queen outfit. And oh man, I got into that thing, and I was in a palace, and I was so into this. And I walked out of my room, and I started down this huge staircase. And there was live music playing. I don't know if Jay Giles was playing at the time or what, but there was live music going through the house. Tons of people there. And I regally am walking down the staircase. And at the bottom of the staircase, there's a man in tights, like a king. I kid you not. This gorgeous man at the bottom, and he was dressed like a king, and he was looking at me coming down. Well, a hell of a weekend ensued. That's all I have to say. Unfortunately, I found out the next day he was a Green Beret. He was, oh, jeez. Oh, no, the king is a Green Beret? I think he felt the same way about me. Oh, no, the queen is a raging lefty anti-war peacenik jerk. But whatever. So whenever I hear, there's more to the story, which I refuse to tell you. Whenever I hear Jay Giles, and who wouldn't? I get transported back to that amazing Halloween party. Best party ever. I bet that thing's torn down now. There's no way that house is still there. I don't think. But boy, I'll tell you, that was an amazing place. I've been in amazing houses before and big estates. I never saw the likes of that thing. I know in the morning we took a long walk along a huge pond that was there and all this stuff. And the place was just, it was being rented out to a bunch of hippies, including the Jay Giles Blues Band, until it was being ripped down. So it's definitely ripped down by now. But geez, I can't believe Jay Giles, he's dead? Ha! Son of a... He's dead. And it says here, see, I think it's 1970. It says here that they got their first... They signed with Atlantic Records in 1970. So they were just getting big. They'd been big in Boston, but not necessarily nationally. And I guess the song I know them from, I think most people know, is Love Stinks. Do you know that, Celine? That's Jay Giles. Love Stinks. Wonder if Martha's alive. Jeez. Okay, are we done? Not quite. What time is it?
It is 10:53.
10:53. Oh, no, we got more time. Okay. All right. I hope I'm not boring you. I have no sense when I can't take calls of what, anybody's listening or anything. So I'm babbling, folks. Oh, what do I follow that reminiscence with? Oh, Jo Ellen, thank you. She says, I loved your story today. Thank you. I guess we're getting to the point where, as people die and you have that, little bit of separation from them, there might be, some more stories I have. I don't remember that Green Beret's name. Boy, was he handsome. Oh, my God.
Green Beret.
Oh, all Green Berets have to be handsome?
They have to be in shape.
Well, God knows he was in shape. He was this big, tall warrior. I didn't know he was a warrior. He looked good in those tights. Would you believe a Green Beret would get in tights? Huh? Oh, my God. We did see each other again, too, which was odd. He came to see me in New York. I mean, and I thought we liked each other, but then we didn't. I mean, there was no way. You can't overcome something like that. That's like, dating a Trump voter. But not really. He just came from a different place. I couldn't understand at the time where he was coming from, and I'm sure I probably wouldn't be able to necessarily now. I'm remembering something else, but I don't know whether to... No, I'm not going to. So I am enjoying, and I hate to bring this back to politics, I am enjoying the stories and reports that I'm reading about how the Republicans are getting very nervous about the congressional elections in a year and a half now. And there's worrying about one of those, excuse me, I almost belched in your ear. Worrying about, one of those big sweep elections, the so-called wave election, which usually comes after, yes, a national election in which one party does very well and voters are expecting that party to do something major, and the party fails to deliver. And the members of Congress who are running for re-election get hammered as a result. So there are a few special elections happening now, as I'm sure you know, and these are special elections because Trump plucked a number of members of Congress out of Congress to serve in various capacities in his administration, leaving empty those seats. And so special elections are called. One was held just Tuesday in Kansas. This was to fill the seat left vacant by Pompeo, who I guess now heads the CIA, right? This is such a Republican district that, I mean, the idea of a Democrat winning it is an absurdity. It was expected that the guy running, the Republican running, would easily win by 20 plus points. He won by 7. A Democrat got that close in as red a district as you can imagine. And the Republicans looked at this and got queasy. Another one coming up is in Georgia. This one's been getting a lot more play. This is the congressional seat that was held by the loathsome Price, Congressman Price, now head of Health and Human Services, and is the go-to guy. He's a doctor, that one. Go-to guy for dismantling the Affordable Care Act, among many other things. This is his seat. This also is a congressional district that is so Republican, I don't even know that Democrats bother even to run. Well, there is a young Democrat who's running. I think he's no more than like 30 or something, 30, 31. Interesting guy, smart guy. He's running, and he's ahead. And that election, I believe, is next week. The way he might win it is a whole bunch of Republicans are running against him. So the Republican vote is going to be split among a lot of Republicans. They screwed themselves up on this one. They're going to be split. And we're being stared at by a tour, I guess, of, yes, come to Point Park. So they're probably looking and saying, this is the studio. And they're looking at a gray-haired lady and thinking, God, the students are old here. God, that's a student? I think I'll go someplace else. Thank you very much. So anyway, this guy in Georgia just might pull it off because the way their election works is if anybody gets a majority, that's the end of it. If no one gets a majority, then the top 2 run in a runoff. So the Democrat can get in if the Republicans split their vote so much that he's going to win in the initial voting. And that will be amazing. Amazing. There's also a race in Montana that's looking competitive when no way should it be competitive. So I'm just saying, little ways of looking at things that look maybe hopeful. All right, I think that's it for me now. It is. And I thank you, and hope you stick with us, because I got a feeling maybe we're going to do our show. Why don't we just do the show in, like, Market Square or something? Or in my living room. Maybe I can do that. Whatever. Thank you very much. I hope we can get the phones back for you, because I miss you. I don't like just talking to myself. Feels that way. So thank you very much, and thank all of you who emailed, because then I don't quite feel like I'm talking to myself. And I hope you have a great day. Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.